Imagine a world where the very foundations of our modern society were first laid. Picture a land that gave birth to cities, writing, and even our understanding of time. This was Sumer, the earliest known civilization, which emerged from the fertile plains of southern Mesopotamia in what is now south-central Iraq, thousands of years ago. Sumer stands as the very site where humanity transitioned from scattered settlements to organized urban centers, marking the true dawn of civilization. This exploration will delve into the remarkable story of Sumer, a land of pioneering achievements that continue to resonate in our world today. From its geographical heartland to its enduring legacy, we will uncover the wonders of this ancient culture that truly set the stage for the world that followed. Our journey into the past takes us to the ancient Near East, specifically to southern Mesopotamia, a region now largely encompassed by the modern country of Iraq. This civilization flourished in the rich alluvial plains situated between the life-giving waters of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This strategic location, later known to the Greeks as Mesopotamia, meaning the land between the rivers, was the very core of Sumerian existence. The approximate boundaries of Sumer stretched from the Persian Gulf in the south, reaching northwards to the point where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowed in close proximity, forming a kind of neck in the Mesopotamian landscape. To the south lay the vast expanse of the Persian Gulf, while the land of Akkad bordered Sumer to the north. The rugged Zagros Mountains formed a natural barrier to the east, and the boundless Arabian desert lay to the west. In contemporary terms, the heartland of Sumer extended from around the area of modern-day Baghdad southwards towards the Persian Gulf, predominantly within the southern and south-central regions of Iraq. This geographical setting was no mere coincidence. Sumer's location within the famed Fertile Crescent, an arc of exceptionally fertile land stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea and down into Egypt, provided the essential conditions for the rise of agriculture and, consequently, civilization. Living along the fertile valleys carved by the Tigris and Euphrates, Sumerian farmers cultivated an abundance of grain and other crops, generating a surplus that proved fundamental to the development of their urban settlements. Within this geographically defined area, numerous significant city-states emerged, each acting as an independent political and cultural hub. Among the most prominent were Kish in the north, the sprawling urban center of Uruk. The historically significant city of Ur near the ancient coastline, the religiously important city of Nippur, and Lagash, known for its early dynastic rulers. The story of Sumerian civilization spans an impressive length of time, stretching across millennia and witnessing significant transformations. This remarkable civilization thrived for over 4,000 years, from approximately 5,500 to 1800 BC, a period that saw its rise, its golden ages, and its eventual decline. The earliest traces of Sumerian culture can be found in the Ubaid period, which began around 6500 BC and lasted until approximately 4100 BC. This initial era saw the establishment of the first permanent settlements in southern Mesopotamia by farming communities who introduced crucial irrigation techniques to cultivate the land. A distinctive style of finely painted pottery also characterized this period. The subsequent Uruk period, from about 4100 to 2900 BC, marked a major turning point in Sumerian history. During this era, large, socially stratified, temple-centered cities began to emerge. The mass production of pottery became commonplace, and trade flourished along the developing waterways. It is also during the later part of the Uruk period that the world's earliest known written texts appeared in Sumerian cities such as Uruk and Jemdet Nasr. Following the Uruk period, the Jemdet Nasr period, lasting from around 3100 to 2900 BC, is considered part of the early Bronze Age and further solidified the cultural and technological developments of the preceding era. With the earliest written texts continuing to be produced, the early dynastic period, spanning from approximately 2900 to 2330 for BC, witnessed a gradual shift towards more secular rule, with the rise of kings alongside the traditional priestly governors. Prominent city-states like Kish, Uruk, Ur, and Lagash gained influence, often engaging in conflicts as they vied for resources and regional dominance. Legendary figures like Gilgamesh of Uruk are believed to have lived during this time, and there were early attempts at unifying Sumer under rulers such as Enadam of Lagash. The famous royal graves of Ur, revealing incredible wealth and complex burial customs, also date to this period. Around 2330 for BC, a significant political upheaval occurred with the rise of Sargon of Akkad, who conquered the independent Sumerian city-states and established the Akkadian Empire. While Akkadian became the dominant language of the empire, Sumerian continued to be used in administration and as a language of literature. However, the Akkadian Empire eventually collapsed after approximately 2 centuries. Following the Akkadian decline, Mesopotamia entered a period of instability known as the Gutian period, lasting from about 2154 to 2119 BC. This era is often characterized as a time of chaos and decline under the rule of the Gutian people from the Zagros Mountains, although native Sumerian rule did eventually re-emerge with the second dynasty of Lagash. The epic tales of Gilgamesh were likely written down in their more complete form during or around this period. A resurgence of Sumerian power and culture occurred with the third dynasty of Ur, often referred to as the Sumerian Renaissance, from around 2119 to 2000 for BC. Under the rule of kings like Ur-Nammu and Shulgi, parts of Mesopotamia were once again unified, and Sumerian culture experienced a significant revival, although the region was becoming increasingly influenced by Semitic populations. This era saw considerable cultural and economic prosperity, with the city of Ur enjoying a golden age. However, by around 2000 BC, the Sumerian civilization began its final decline due to a combination of factors, including invasions by the Elamites and Amorites, as well as internal power struggles. The Amorite dynasty of Asin eventually fell to Babylonian rule around 1700 BC, marking the end of Sumerian political dominance. While Sumerian ceased to be a widely spoken language, it persisted as a language of literature and religious practice for centuries, its rich legacy transmitted to the civilizations that followed. The Sumerians were not only pioneers in establishing the first complex societies, but also incredibly innovative, leaving behind a remarkable array of inventions that profoundly impacted the course of human history. Perhaps their most transformative contribution was the development of writing. Around 3300 to 3200 BC, they created cuneiform, one of the earliest known writing systems. This system evolved from simple pictograms, drawings representing objects, into a sophisticated script using wedge-shaped marks pressed into soft clay tablets with a reed stylus. These marks, known as cuneiform, eventually represented syllables and sounds, enabling the recording of complex language and ideas. Initially used for administrative purposes, such as tracking agricultural produce and trade transactions, cuneiform soon expanded to encompass a wide range of uses, including literature, legal codes, religious texts, personal letters, hymns, and epic stories like the renowned Epic of Gilgamesh. This ingenious writing system remained in active use for over 3 millennia and was adopted and adapted by numerous other civilizations throughout the ancient Near East. Another fundamental Sumerian invention was the wheel, which appeared around 3500 BC in Lower Mesopotamia. While the earliest wheels were likely used for the creation of pottery on a potter's wheel, the Sumerians quickly recognized its potential for transportation. Developing two-wheeled and four-wheeled carts and chariots, this seemingly simple invention revolutionized transportation, making the movement of heavy goods and people significantly easier. It also had a profound impact on agriculture with the introduction of animal-drawn plows and carts, and on various craft industries, most notably the potter's wheel itself. Interestingly, the concept of the wheel didn't appear fully formed, but rather evolved from earlier methods of moving heavy objects, such as using rollers made from logs and sledges. Living in the arid and sometimes flood-prone environment of Mesopotamia, the Sumerians also became highly skilled in water management, developing sophisticated irrigation techniques. They constructed intricate networks of canals, dikes, and gates to effectively channel water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers to their agricultural fields. This mastery of irrigation transformed the once challenging landscape into a fertile and productive region, allowing their cities to thrive and support larger populations. Their large-scale irrigation projects, often overseen by temple authorities and later by the state, involved the construction of massive embankments along the rivers, the drainage of marshlands, and the excavation of extensive systems of irrigation ditches and canals, sometimes even with gates to control the water flow. Beyond these groundbreaking inventions, the Sumerians also made significant advancements in other fields. They developed a complex system of mathematics, including arithmetic and geometry, which was crucial for their engineering projects, land surveying, and even the management of their economies. They also conceptualized time as we understand it today, based on a sexagesimal base 60 system, which gave us the 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. The Sumerians were also pioneers in mass-producing ceramics using the potter's wheel, and they are credited with the development of the first two-wheeled chariots, likely used for both ceremonial and military purposes. Other notable Sumerian innovations include the plow, which significantly improved agricultural productivity, advancements in metallurgy, particularly the use of copper to create tools and weapons, and the invention of mass-produced bricks using clay molds, allowing for the construction of larger and more complex urban centers. They even developed the first known ruling system of monarchy and made significant contributions to the understanding of the stars and the development of a lunar calendar. Religion permeated every aspect of Sumerian life, and their worldview was deeply intertwined with a complex polytheistic belief system. The Sumerians worshipped a vast array of anthropomorphic deities, gods and goddesses who represented the various cosmic and terrestrial forces that shaped their world. Their pantheon included over 3,000 different deities, each with specific roles and responsibilities in the divine order. At the apex of this divine hierarchy was An, the supreme god of the heavens, revered as the ancestor of all the major deities. Enlil, the powerful god of wind, air, earth, and storms, served as the chief deity of the Sumerian pantheon and held a particularly important place in the city of Nippur. Enki, also known as Ea, was the wise and benevolent god of water, knowledge, crafts, and magic, believed to be the creator and protector of humankind and the patron of the city of Eridu. Inanna, later known as Ishtar, was the prominent goddess of love, sex, warfare, and fertility, associated with the planet Venus, and the patron deity of Uruk. Utu, the radiant god of the sun and justice, was considered the son of the moon god Nanna and the twin of Inanna. Nanna, also called Sin, was the revered god of the moon and of wisdom, and one of the patron deities of the city of Ur. Ninhursag was the nurturing goddess of fertility, the earth, and wildlife, worshipped in cities like Kesh and Adab. Ruling over the shadowy realm of the dead was Ereshkigal, the formidable goddess of the underworld known as Ker, and in the beginning there was Namu, the goddess representing the primeval waters from which all creation flowed, giving birth to An and Ki-Earth. These deities were often depicted with human-like characteristics, emotions, and complex familial relationships, reflecting the Sumerians' understanding of the divine in terms relatable to their own experiences. The Sumerians believed that after death, all mortals journeyed to Ker, a dark and desolate underworld located deep beneath the earth, regardless of their actions in life. This bleak realm, ruled by the goddess Ereshkigal, was envisioned as a shadowy reflection of earthly existence, where the souls of the dead consumed nothing but dry dust. Surviving family members would perform rituals, such as pouring libations of water into the deceased's grave through clay pipes, to provide symbolic sustenance for their journey in the afterlife. During the later Ur III period, there was a belief that the treatment one received in Ker might be influenced by the wealth and status of their burial, suggesting a potential link between earthly standing and the underworld. The entrance to Ker was believed to be located in the distant Zagros Mountains and was guarded by 7 gates and the deity Neti, while the celestial realm of heaven was reserved exclusively for the gods. At the heart of every Sumerian city-state stood a magnificent ziggurat, a towering, stepped pyramid-like temple dedicated to the city's patron god or goddess. These impressive structures evolved from earlier, simpler one-room temples into these multi-tiered monuments believed to be the earthly dwelling places of the gods. Only priests were permitted to enter the sacred shrine located at the summit of the ziggurat to perform sacrifices and other religious rituals. Beyond their religious significance, ziggurats also served as important administrative and economic centers within the city-states, with priests often playing a crucial role in managing irrigation systems and controlling the storage and distribution of surplus grain, wielding considerable influence within Sumerian society. Sumerian society was organized into a collection of independent city-states, each with its own distinct identity and governance. These city-states, never unified under a single, overarching ruler in their early history, each possessed its own royal family, military forces, and patron deity. Within these city-states, Sumerian society was structured hierarchically with clear distinctions in power and privilege among different social classes. At the apex of the social pyramid were the priests, who held immense religious and often political power as intermediaries between the human and divine realms. They oversaw religious ceremonies, managed temple affairs, and in the early periods even held positions of leadership, controlling vital resources and administering temple lands. Below the priests was the upper class, comprising landowners, government officials, wealthy merchants, and the nobility. These individuals typically resided in the central parts of the city, enjoyed a higher standard of living, and often held positions of authority. The majority of the Sumerian population belonged to the lower class, which included merchants, craftsmen, farmers, and fishermen. These commoners formed the backbone of the Sumerian economy, producing essential goods and food through their labor. At the very bottom of the social structure were the slaves, who often consisted of prisoners of war or individuals who had fallen into debt. Slaves had limited rights and were owned by the king, the temple, or wealthy citizens performing various forms of labor. Leadership in Sumerian city-states initially rested with priest kings who combined religious and political authority, believed to be representatives of the gods and known by titles such as En or Ensi. However, over time, particularly during periods of increased intercity warfare, powerful military leaders known as Lugal, meaning great man, emerged. These Lugal gradually gained more permanent authority, eventually evolving into the kings who would govern the city-states and even establish early dynasties responsible for maintaining order, administering justice, organizing public works, and leading their people in times of conflict. Sumerian society was largely patriarchal, with men holding most positions of power and authority. However, women did have certain rights and roles within society. While their primary responsibilities often centered around managing the household and raising children, some women, especially those from upper-class families or who served as priestesses in the temples, could learn to read and write, own property, and even engage in business activities. The daily lives of ordinary Sumerians were characterized by a strong connection to the land and a structured social hierarchy. For the majority of the population, their days were filled with labor, primarily focused on agriculture, farmers, forming the backbone of Sumerian society, toiled in the fertile fields along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, cultivating essential crops like barley, wheat, and dates, relying on the intricate network of irrigation canals they had developed to sustain their harvests. In the bustling urban centers, a variety of specialized occupations emerged. Skilled artisans and craftsmen were highly valued for their expertise in creating pottery, weaving textiles from wool and other materials, working with metals such as copper and bronze to produce tools, weapons, and decorative items, and crafting intricate jewelry for the wealthier members of society. Merchants played a vital role in facilitating trade both within Sumerian city-states and with distant regions, exchanging surplus goods for resources that were scarce in Mesopotamia, such as timber and precious stones like lapis lazuli and carnelian. Scribes, possessing the crucial skill of reading and writing cuneiform, held a position of respect and importance, responsible for maintaining records for the temple, the government, and private transactions. Other common occupations included fishermen who harvested the rivers and marshes, builders who utilized sun-dried mud bricks to construct homes, temples, and other structures, and even brewers who produced beer, a staple beverage in the Sumerian diet and sometimes even used as a form of payment. The typical home for an ordinary Sumerian was constructed from mud bricks, a readily available and practical building material in the Mesopotamian environment. These dwellings were often rectangular in shape and could have 2 or 3 levels, featuring flat roofs that served as additional living space, particularly during the hot summer months when people would often cook and sleep there. The layout of the home often centered around a courtyard, providing a communal area for family activities and sometimes even for keeping small animals in denser urban areas. Houses often shared walls, creating rows of interconnected dwellings. For those living outside the city walls, primarily farmers, their homes might have been simpler structures, such as huts made from bundles of reeds gathered from the riverbanks. Religion was deeply woven into the fabric of daily life for ordinary Sumerians. It was common for households to have a small shrine or dedicated space to honor their personal and city deities. People regularly visited the ziggurat, the towering temple in the heart of their city, to offer food, wine, or other goods to the gods. Seeking their favor and protection, festivals and religious ceremonies were important community events, providing opportunities for socializing, celebrating, and reinforcing shared beliefs. Music, often played on instruments like lyres and flutes, and dancing were common forms of entertainment during these events and at banquets. Even leisure activities like playing board games were enjoyed. Clothing for ordinary Sumerians was typically made from sheepskin or wool, with men wearing kilt-like skirts and women wearing longer dresses. Both men and women adorned themselves with jewelry, especially rings, and the use of makeup was also common. The rediscovery of ancient Sumer and the piecing together of its history are largely due to the remarkable archaeological sites that have been unearthed in the region. These sites offer tangible connections to this long-lost civilization, revealing its grandeur and providing invaluable information about its people and their way of life. One of the most significant of these sites is Ur, located in the present-day Dekar Governorate of southern Iraq. Once a thriving port city near the mouth of the Euphrates, Ur is now situated inland due to changes in the river's course. Archaeological excavations at Ur have revealed the impressive, partially restored ruins of the Ziggurat of Ur, a monumental temple dedicated to the moon god Nanna. Perhaps the most spectacular discoveries at Ur were the royal tombs, dating back to the early dynastic period, which contained an astonishing wealth of luxury items crafted from precious metals and stones, along with the remains of numerous attendants believed to have been buried alongside their rulers. These tombs yielded treasures like the lyres of Ur, beautifully decorated musical instruments often adorned with bull imagery, and the standard of Ur, an intricate mosaic depicting scenes of peace and warfare that provides a glimpse into Sumerian social life and military practices. Evidence of earlier occupation at Ur dating back to the Ubaid period has also been found, indicating its long history as a significant settlement. Some traditions even identify Ur as the birthplace of the biblical patriarch Abraham, adding another layer of historical significance to the site. The discovery of the Code of Ur-Nammu, one of the oldest known law codes, further highlights Ur's importance in the development of Sumerian civilization. Another major Sumerian city that has yielded incredible archaeological finds is Uruk, located further north in the Muthanna Governorate of present-day Iraq. During its peak around 2800 BC, Uruk was one of the largest cities in the world, possibly with a population exceeding 40,000, and was protected by extensive defensive walls. Uruk is renowned as the birthplace of writing, with the earliest known cuneiform tablets discovered at this site, marking a pivotal moment in human history. The archaeological remains of the massive Anu ziggurat and the White Temple, dating back to the 4th millennium BC, showcase the impressive early monumental architecture of the Sumerians. Uruk is also famously associated with the epic hero Gilgamesh, whose legendary tales originated in this city. Among the significant artifacts found at Uruk is the Mask of Warka, one of the earliest known life-size sculptures of a human face. Archaeological evidence suggests that Uruk was a major center of innovation, with early forms of mass production and finance also potentially originating here. The city of Eridu, located in southern Iraq near the ancient coastline of the Persian Gulf, is another incredibly important Sumerian archaeological site, considered by the Sumerians themselves to be one of the oldest cities in the world. Legend claims that civilization was first brought to Eridu by the god Enki. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed an extensive network of 4,000-year-old canals and farms surrounding Eridu, providing valuable insights into their advanced irrigation techniques. Excavations have also uncovered a remarkable sequence of 18 superimposed mud brick temples dating back to the Ubaid period, highlighting the enduring religious significance of this site. Some scholars even associate Eridu's ziggurat with the biblical Tower of Babel. Nippur, situated in the heart of Sumer in the Al-Qadisiyah Governorate of modern Iraq, served as the primary religious center of Sumer, dedicated to the god Enlil. The ruins of the Eker Temple and its towering ziggurat still mark the city's central importance. Nippur has yielded an unparalleled wealth of archaeological information, including tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets that preserve invaluable details about Sumerian literature, religion, administration, and daily life, including some of the oldest known versions of the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Sumerian creation story. Control over Nippur was considered crucial, as it was believed that the city held the power to bestow legitimacy upon rulers from other city-states. Gursu, located in southern Iraq near the modern city of Nasiriyah, is another significant Sumerian archaeological site. Its discovery in the late 19th century was pivotal in revealing the existence of the Sumerian civilization to the modern world. Recent excavations at Gursu have uncovered the remains of a 4,500-year-old royal palace, along with over 200 cuneiform tablets containing administrative records of the city. Archaeologists have also identified the main sanctuary of the Sumerian god Ninjutsu, the Enanu Temple, one of the most revered temples in Mesopotamia, fragments of the stele of the vultures. An important early dynastic monument were also found at Gursu. Interestingly, more recent discoveries suggest the presence of later Hellenistic temples at Gursu, possibly linked to figures like Hercules and Alexander the Great built on top of the earlier Sumerian ruins. Furthermore, archaeologists have uncovered what appears to be an ancient civilization-saving water channel, a sophisticated hydraulic structure designed to deliver water to distant agricultural lands during times of drought. The Sumerian civilization, despite its eventual decline and assimilation into later Mesopotamian cultures, left an indelible mark on the ancient world, and its influence continues to resonate even today. The cultures that followed in Mesopotamia, including the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, readily adopted and adapted many aspects of Sumerian culture, technology, and religious beliefs. The Akkadians, who conquered the Sumerian city-states, embraced the cuneiform writing system, integrating Sumerian mythology and religious practices into their own cultural framework. Later, the Babylonians continued to use the Sumerian language for religious and literary purposes for centuries after it ceased to be a spoken tongue, ensuring the preservation of much of Sumer's rich literary heritage. Even the renowned Code of Hammurabi, a Babylonian legal code, drew inspiration and principles from earlier Sumerian legal traditions, highlighting the enduring impact of Sumerian legal thought. Beyond Mesopotamia, there is evidence suggesting that Sumerian trade networks extended to distant lands, potentially reaching the Indus Valley civilization and establishing connections with regions like Anatolia, Lebanon, Oman, and possibly even Egypt and Ethiopia. Intriguingly, scholars have observed striking parallels between certain narratives in Sumerian mythology, such as the epic tale of the Great Flood, and similar stories found in the Hebrew Bible, hinting at a potential line of cultural influence in the ancient Near East. The Sumerians bestowed upon the world fundamental innovations that continue to shape our lives. Their invention of writing, the wheel, and sophisticated irrigation techniques were revolutionary advancements that laid the groundwork for future technological progress. Their development of mathematics, including arithmetic and geometry, and their sexagesimal system for measuring time and angles continue to influence our modern world. The Sumerians also established early forms of law codes, such as the Code of Ur-Nammu, which influenced later legal systems. They pioneered urban planning, constructed monumental architecture like ziggurats, developed complex governmental structures based on city-states and eventually monarchy, and fostered specialized labor and record-keeping. Their rich literary tradition, exemplified by the Epic of Gilgamesh, remains one of the oldest and most influential works of literature in human history. Furthermore, their meticulous accounting practices and the development of early forms of ledgers laid the foundation for complex economic systems. It is truly remarkable to consider that this foundational civilization, whose existence was forgotten for millennia, was rediscovered only in the 19th century, revealing the profound depth and complexity of our ancient past. The Sumerians, though perhaps not as widely recognized as some of the later Mesopotamian empires, provided the very blueprint for civilization upon which so much of subsequent human history has been constructed. In conclusion, the story of ancient Sumer is a testament to the ingenuity and pioneering spirit of humankind. Their groundbreaking achievements, from the invention of writing and the wheel to the development of complex irrigation and sophisticated systems of mathematics and governance, laid the very foundations for much of what we consider civilization today. Sumer's rich mythology, intricate social structure, and the echoes of their daily lives, unearthed from the sands of Mesopotamia, offer us a profound glimpse into the dawn of organized human society. Their enduring legacy, influencing subsequent cultures in the region and beyond, solidifies their place as a pivotal civilization in the history of our world. What other ancient civilizations would you like to explore? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical journeys with Martis Explores.